start, and we are live. Yes.
Boom.
Oh, I hear echo.
Sorry, that was me. I
Oh,
softened.
you did that on purpose.
Well, no, I'm recording the audio on my own side for my personal vlog, so I had accidentally turned that volume up, so that's what you're hearing.
Okay, I thought you wanted some like reverb for some
Yeah, like
awesome
sound effect.
boom, 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 boom. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another awesome week and another awesome Webflow workshop. I'm your host, Nelson. Uh, and I'm here with a very special guest, Joel Beukelman, and I hope I got that pronunciation
Got
right.
it. You did it. Yeah.
Nice, nice. I know I put in my Google Doc, I put Man.
I considered actually putting that on my website so people can know how to say my name because I just took all the vowels out. That's what the BKLMN comes from, but I think you got it right.
Nice, nice. I had to double check with your friend because I didn't want to get it wrong, but
Yeah, you're
yeah.
good.
So, this week's topic, it's all about finding balance, and Joel has quite a resume. He's helped out with the Netflix team. He worked at Netflix with the mobile UI, and now he's a Googler working on the UX part of Android, and so yeah, it's gonna be fun learning a lot some from an accomplished designer like yourself. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here, man. I don't know if accomplished might be a little much, but well, for the very least, I've been there.
All right. Well, you've
Still
accomplished a
accomplishing,
lot.
trying
I'm
to accomplish, but yeah.
yes. There's always something else later
Yeah,
on, but I mean, hey, you you helped us with Netflix and everything, and making sure that we get our binges on as fast as possible, right? And
that's right.
so,
That's right. That's how it
man,
goes.
yeah. So you've touched a lot of people's lives thanks to the UX of that. But yeah, what I want to know is like this crazy career of getting it from college all the way to a Googler. I don't get to speak to much Googlers in my days, and so like, how did you find yourself getting into this career path?
Yeah, I ask myself the same thing because it was pretty accidental. I mean, I had a traditional background in graphic design, went to school, got my BA in like studio art for design, and so was doing a lot of like the typical branding, brochure, logo work, that kind of stuff, and did that for like 3 years, just trying to struggle through and make a living. And I enjoy that type of design still. I really enjoy print and typography, but I really kind of stumbled into tech through just the general community on Twitter and Dribble. A lot of WordPress was huge back then. And so really was doing traditional print design, but making friends with a lot of people doing kind of the up and coming responsive web stuff and then mobile once it came out. And so through those relationships, I was also like shooting photography just to make ends meet. And so I actually started shooting photography for design conferences to meet designers that I wanted to be like. And so I think a lot of it was kind of like faking it and making good relationships and surrounding yourself with people that you wanted to be like, rather, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like this, so like Epicurus and with all these people that were like, didn't you shoot photography at like the first ValioCon? And that's where I met Dan Petty and a lot of these people. So through that, I got approached with an opportunity to work in a startup for a mobile app platform, and I'd never designed a mobile app before. So I was the design director of that company, and really learned by doing. And the community kind of was a way that I learned in the kind of the proper practices for this space. And through that kind of school of hard knocks in real life, got eventually an opportunity to go work at Netflix, and from there was just kind of like a hockey stick trajectory because once you're there and validated in that space, it's easier to hop around and learn, and the quality of people you learn from is a lot higher too. So it's a constant like learning and trying process. So
Yeah. So you mentioned you faked it, and so I think I think that's something that everyone goes through when they're just trying to start out and trying to find their way through through their careers. And so when you're faking it, it's easy just to say now, and after you've been through it all. But what other tips can you give people who are just starting their career as a designer but want to get into the tech industry?
Yeah, I think part of it is there's a general curiosity that I think is required to kind of fake it and actually learn and grow that way. And so like there's this like underlying like narrative of like this DIY kind of punk mentality, I think, in a lot of the design industry. And a lot of it comes from us like actually being in punk bands and designing stuff and becoming, making websites. But
Yeah.
I think there is this also um, kind of like F the system and do it my own way kind of confidence or ignorance, either way,
Yeah.
that I think is fitting to specifically the creative industry, but anyone that really wants to go after something and kind of learn it themselves and not take the traditional way of, well, I have to go through school and get a certificate and do these things. I did that and I learned a lot about design that way, but in no way did I learn how to work in Silicon Valley by going to school. I have no traditional web background, so all of that was me just pretending like I was a web designer or a mobile designer, and then using the community to actually learn and do that. So I think people and relationships are way more valuable than like a class you can take because you're going to learn a lot more from them.
Oh, okay. And so, going from traditional print design, it can be tough trying to get into the tech industry. And so, what were some of the the hardest things to learn when going into mobile design from print?
I think just the technical nature of everything is really difficult at first. So when I was doing my print day job, I was freelancing at night, like trying to build WordPress sites and like breaking PHP. And I still to this day don't know that space very well, but it kind of got my feet wet so I wasn't scared of code or wasn't scared of a technical environment. And I feel like even with mobile now, it's much easier to get into than the initial like kind of wild west of web design, because with a lot of the mobile spaces today, there's so much good documentation and proper guidelines with material design and with
Yeah.
iOS hey guidelines. There's a lot to learn from, and that's like a textbook in itself, and it's free. So like when it was just like web, you just kind of learn. Everyone kind of did it their own way, and it was a community based and driven thing. Where now these mobile platforms are driven by these huge companies, and so I think learning that technical space and knowing its limitations and its strengths is a lot easier to kind of grasp today. But if there's someone in print trying to get into this space, I think those are great places to start. In addition to like the general community.
All right. So, let's talk about more about your whole mantra, your whole your personality. Okay, so we know you're a hard worker and you're a Googler, but you have this podcast that it's really quite interesting, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on the show is the balance. And can you, to for the people who haven't listened to the balance yet, can you describe the podcast for us?
Yeah, so I started the balance after reading Josh Long and Drew Wilson's book Execute, and it was just talking about like being inspired and working out of that inspiration. So at the time, this was like 3 years back now, I was listening to a ton of podcasts and wanted to, like, everyone was having design podcasts just talking about how they got to where they got and how they do good work. And I was personally more interested in like, how do you maintain doing good work? How do you not
Yeah.
burn out? How do you, like, what's your kind of daily ebb and flow? And so I was like, well shit, I'll just start having those conversations. So like I put up a site and emailed like 20 people and started a podcast. And it's kind of taken a backseat different seasons of life. But I think the whole reason I started it is because I, one, selfishly wanted to meet people and learn from them. Uh, but more than anything, I think there's a lot underlying narrative of hustle and just like killing yourself doing design. And I'm not interested in that at all. I work hard, but I rest and I play hard as well. And so I wanted to like foster a conversation of balance and some intentionality in the industry for whatever it's worth. And it's been a small community, but a very like loyal and passionate community. And so I think that those it resonates with, I think it's glad to know that there's other people having that same struggle and conversation. So it's been the kind of underlying goal is just to have like a, fostering that narrative in our small community.
Yeah, it's very important. The whole how to not burn out and all that stuff, because I think everyone goes through that. And like, I know a couple of people right now that they're trying to figure out, is web design or graphic design actually the career I want? Because there's a time when it starts off as a hobby and you're like, man, this is fun, and then you get that first pay as a freelancer and you're like, all right, maybe I can do this. And then
Right.
next thing you know, you create a career and it's like, do I really want to do this? And so
Right.
there's
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that tipping point of, do you go for it full steam, or do you just find something else? And so I guess this is why you've created the balance to figure out where everyone's balance is. And so what I'm wondering is, what is your usual balance like? Because it says on your website you have two sons, a dog, so you have a whole family, and then you have this Google career. So um, how do you balance that type of lifestyle?
Yeah. So like over all the conversations I've had, I've kind of come to the conclusion that like balance really isn't like a destination. It's like the cheesy analogy of it's like the journey, and it's the spectrum of you always trying to like push back against imbalance. And I guess the baggage that balance alludes to is like time and like balancing time and this typical like self-help bullshit. And that's not really at all what I'm interested in. I mean, there's very practical things that I do. Like I'm very persistent about leaving at 5 and like having dinner with my family. Those are just like good common like rules I have for myself. But I think the balance part is like really identifying what you want to do or what you want out of life and making sure that where you're spending your time is parallel to that. So I I don't really care what I build, and I don't want to be known for like what I design. If that happens, that's great, but it's definitely not my priority. And so like my priority is to figure out how to make as much money so that I like don't have to work and do other things that don't make money, whether that's like hanging out with my family or making music or vlogging or creating
Mm.
other content. And so I think for me, this narrative started as like I was hustling to get to Google. Now or to get to a big company. Now I'm there. And I'm going to release a vlog about this like next week. But I think there's this huge identity crisis I've had this past year. And frankly, why I stopped posting a lot. And the balance I'm doing now is like I've achieved the things I never thought I'd achieve. And I'm not happy. That's kind of where I found myself at the end of last year. And it was almost like leading down this path of depression of like, I have everything I want and I'm still not fulfilled. And that was really challenging for me. And I think that's like balancing like what makes us happy and
Yeah.
making sure that we can find that and make sure that our work and our life and all the things that lead to that thing, I think is a really hard thing to do as a creative when you're like your passion and your hobby and all your career is all tied up in one thing. um, I think that's kind of where balance is for me right now is like how do I remain happy with all that I've been given and have achieved.
Hmm.
So that might be time management. That might be setting good rules. For me, it's like where do I put my identity and what I value. And that for me right now, that's not work. Like I love working for Android, but a lot of my identity things that make me happy are aside from my profession. And it took me a while to realize that, but I think
Wow.
it's different for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would love to learn more about that. I mean, like maybe in another episode or something. But man,
Yeah.
dude, like we can go real deep in that, because like I feel you on that one.
Yeah.
Um there was a time where I felt that kind of emotion of, okay, I have everything, but where do I go now? And
Yeah.
so
I think it's hard because
yeah,
we live, especially in our industry, we live our lives and our personal brands like online. It's all about this portrayal of who we are. And so often that's not exactly what we are. We're very more complex people than like a, small bio. And so
yeah,
I think the more that we try and maintain that on the exterior as creatives, like we process a lot and like that can be a very toxic thing. And so I'm less concerned about like saving face and pitching a thing. Like I'm just going to be mean. If you hate me, that's fine. And I'm getting to that. I think I'm maturing to a point now being in the industry for a while where I really don't care how I'm perceived. I've got a good job. I'm not trying to get hired. And I'm just trying to be authentic. and I
Yeah.
hope that comes through in some of my current ventures outside of my job. But it's hard because there's a risk there as well,
Oh
being
yeah.
vulnerable.
Oh yeah. All right. All right. Before we get
Sorry, I get too
too
deep.
no no no, I love it. I love it because this is very important because it's an ongoing process, an ongoing struggle, and you just gotta keep working at it to get what you want. And so, yeah, I'd love to talk more about this, but let's dive back a little bit more back into design. And so, you've what part of uh, Android are you actually working on? If you can tell us, like, are you
Yeah.
helping out with the mobile UI, or are you or what?
Yes. So Android's organized into a couple different kind of pillars. So you have like the core system and platform,
Yeah.
and then you have kind of the auxiliary platforms like Wear, Auto, TV. And so I'm currently on the Android Auto team. So I'm working with
Oh.
um, a good group of people on kind of the in-car UI, and some of the evolution of that industry and how tech is being brought into the car and how we can make that a better and hopefully safer experience. So that's about
Yeah.
as much as I can say.
Oh,
But yeah,
yeah.
definitely on it. It's out there. You can like
I'm like finally Apple and Google are doing something with the car UI because
yeah,
like every time I get into a car and I'm trying to figure out the touch screen, like what the how, and then
yeah,
there's turn dials and doesn't make sense, physical
yeah.
buttons and virtual buttons. And so how is it different working across platforms? Because now your resume is from web. You started like faking it with WordPress sites, and then going to mobile UX, and now you're going to car UX, which is awesome. So how's that like?
It's interesting because at Netflix, even though I was on like phone and tablet stuff, I was exposed to a lot of the TV space, and that ranges from like high powered like PS3, Xbox device
Oh
consoles
yeah.
to like
Yeah.
very low powered simple devices like Chromecast or
Mhm.
different like smart TVs. And so I think the difference is like regardless of the platform, understanding the limitations of that space. And so I draw a lot of parallels between automotive UX and TV UX, and that it's a very constrained environment. Like when you're in a couch, when you're in a car, you don't have a lot of freedom in that space. It's kind of like this rigid space. And then also the hardware, the input modalities are very restrained as well. So you have like an L run remote, or you have like a couple buttons on a steering wheel with a lot of distraction potentials. And so I think the UX and the principles behind making a good experience are the same, but you can't properly do that unless you understand the context of this environment. And so that's been a lot of my last year is kind of understanding all the complexities of car UX. And a lot of the reasons it's bad is because it's very difficult. Like it's very difficult to achieve a task safely in meeting some of the requirements and suggestions from the different organizations from the governments. And so
Yeah.
um, like doing things that feel appropriate and as rich as they do on your computer or handheld device in a car is very difficult. And historically, like those cars have really shitty, like low cost, low powered hardware, and
Yeah.
so that's why you see so much janky stuff. They're like product cycles, like 7 to 10 years. So the stuff they're designing now is going to come out for 10 years, and so that's where we're hoping to improve that since we can move a little bit more nimble,
Yeah.
but we still are in that same constrained environment. So I think regardless of what you're working on, whether it's responsive, web stuff to cars or virtual reality, like they all have their own unique constraints, and it's the faster you can get your handle on that, the I think faster you can design better solutions.
Hmm. So, speaking of car, and then now next step, virtual or augmented reality. Where do you see the future of design heading? Are we gonna be like one day our own Iron Man and have our own HUD?
I mean, what I think that's what everyone points to because it's what's been like pitched to us from sci-fi. I think there's a world where that exists, right? I think we're going to be somewhat disappointed, just like we're disappointed in hoverboards. Like we'll get there, but it
They're
won't be
not
quite.
hoverboards.
I
God.
know they've got wheels. But I think that's going to be kind of what it's like. Like it's not Jarvis quite, it's similar. But these things are hard, and I think design is changing because it's going to be less like buttons in UI. It's going to be much more experiential. So like a lot of the design I've been doing is just like auditory and conversational because of the car. And so that's a different way to think about like a user flow. And people have been doing this a long time, but for a lot of people just doing mobile UX and designing apps, it's like everything's moving a lot more, everything's a lot more transient and just less like chromy. And so I think understanding that and knowing how that evolves into these different spaces is going to be where I don't know what it looks like, but I can see a lot of disciplines are going that way. And then also, I think just in the industry in general, I think design's becoming much more mature as a contributor to like product and business. Whereas like we used to be a department that like made things look good or work well.
Yeah.
I think we're just now starting to get design roles and situations where design is at like the VP actual company level. We're starting to understand our role and how to be not just like artists, but how to be contributing like product and business people. And that's something that I'm just starting to like, hit the tip of the iceberg on of like leadership and management. And it's scary as hell. And I don't know if I want to go there, but realizing that like it's more than just like making design, it's a
Yeah.
lot of the process and business too. And I think that's design is becoming that, especially in tech, which is exciting.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, lastly, are there any tips or that you can give us that you've learned in the past positions you've had that you can give to our audience who maybe just starting out in the web design or UX role?
Yeah. If I had to look at like what I learned and the uh, things that have been impactful for me, it's more less about design and more about process. So
Hmm.
I think asking questions is probably the most important thing to do. Like whether it's with the people you're working with, like engineering or project management, or your users, or an actual like programmatic test. I think no trying to collect more data and understand the problem better is what we don't do enough as designers. I think we have a tendency to be a little cocky and think we know the answer, and I'm convinced that I almost always don't know the right answer. And so, and Netflix really taught me that like they're hardcore testing culture. And so whether it's A/B test, qualitative testing, uh, I think those things are not a part of design process as much as it should be. It's starting to be with tech because
Hmm.
we're being integrated to the engineering culture. But uh, the more that we can ask questions, even from like your peers, and don't be so quick to give a solution, but kind of ask more than speak. I think it's been something that I've been trying to learn and do more because I always have something to say, obviously.
Well,
But
especially for the auto industry, I mean, you can't find know the solution unless you have real data, real numbers to back up
yeah,
each little interaction. Because
yeah.
that's you have people basically you have not trying to scare you, you have lives on your hands,
Oh,
sir.
it's our like KPI. No, it's like making people not crash is a big deal. And we have like simulators and like eye tracking software and all this crazy stuff that like I'm
Oh, I
just
believe
kind of
it.
being brought into. So um, yeah, it's easy to be like, oh, like we could say like, oh, the auto industry is doing it wrong. Like we've got a better solution,
Yeah.
and really it's us been like leaning in and like understanding what they've done well and what they haven't, and then trying to improve. So I think humility is a huge thing that we don't do well as designers, and I think that can be expressed in lots of different ways.
All right. So, um, any so this is a question for the chat room. If anyone has any questions for Joel, go ahead and type them now in the chat room. Or if you have any Webflow projects that you're working on, post it in the chat room now, and you can get it critiqued really quickly by Joel and I. But
Yeah,
as we're waiting for the links or questions, yeah, man, this is all good stuff, man. Yeah, I'd love to after the show. I'd love to talk to you more about like those deeper issues about life and career and stuff. I love talking about that
yeah.
stuff because
I
it's
just I just spent like 15 minutes on the beach, like talking to a camera, like in response to like some of the thoughts on Epicurrents, and so I go a little deep on like some personal things, but I'm trying to do that on the on my vlog. I just started this like last month. It's just trying to be vulnerable and share stuff.
Yeah, I saw that. You started a blog. You're on episode 4. Let's
Yeah.
give you some shout outs real quick. So, his personal site is bkl.mn. And do you have a YouTube link? Because the one I
I
found.
honestly don't. I like tried to change my name on YouTube and then it locked me out because you know you can change your name so many times on Google. If it's you go to my site, it's linked up there, or you just search my name, it'll pop up.
I think you kind of, have the in on that. I mean, I think you can ask someone since
I
you're.
gotta buy somebody at YouTube a bottle of whiskey or
There
something.
you go. But hey, can you unlock my?
So all I
Uh,
wanted was like YouTube forward slash BKLMN, but it's really complicated. They want
uh,
it to be like your real name, but whatever.
okay, all right. So, yeah, his YouTube channel is at the very bottom of his site on the footer and whatnot. But
I've linked it like in Twitter and all that shit too. If you follow me, it's
yep,
there.
yep. And I'll post it in the show notes and on the forum post and whatnot. And also, you can, yeah, his what's your Twitter handle?
It's underscore BKLMN. Unfortunately, I gotta buy someone at Twitter some whiskey too.
Man, this whole personal branding thing is hard.
Yeah, I tried. I disputed it like 3 times. And some Russian DJ has it or something, but I can't seem to get it.
Yeah, yeah, you got to be like one of the first ones. All right, whatever that next social media thing is, find it, grab it, and
So
yeah. Let's see here. Okay, we got a YouTube, or sorry, we got a Webflow link here by Michael. There we go. Here, let me share my screen so you can see what I'm looking at,
yeah,
or do you want me to just type it in? Here,
shoot me the link real quick. Can you do that?
right there.
There we go.
Yeah, let's see here. All right, so, ooh, all right. I'll get your take on it first.
1 second. It's asking me to log in. Computers.
No computers.
I don't do computing well. I don't know why it's asking me to log into Google for this.
Huh, interesting.
Let
Should
me
I?
try it.
You want me to just share my screen, or?
Yeah, do that right now while I try and get this
All
going.
right, here you go.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I got it here now too. Cool.
Okay, you got it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll stop screen sharing. There, stop.
Awesome. Well, I'm
There we go.
hungry now.
Yeah. um. Wow, this is pretty nice. Nice imagery. Yeah, let me hear
Yeah.
your thoughts before I go into it.
Well, any specific feedback, or we're just like
No,
critiquing?
just
Yeah.
critiquing. Your first impressions. Anything to help this web designer out.
Well, geez, for a restaurant site, it's already like top of its class, which is nice. Um, I'm just thinking, so this has always been just like a pet peeve of mine,
Mm-hmm.
like navigation, having like the modality of like the side menu to just bring you to a scroll point in the one pager seems a little odd as a pattern. I'm gonna focus on like actual criticism. I mean, this is beautiful already, so I'm not gonna just like
Oh yeah,
dribble.
yeah.
I'm not gonna dribble comment this and just say it's great because it is. Um, I think that's something that like is really interesting. Navigation exposing like what the most important part of the site might be. I think would be an improvement. So if you know Healthy House really wants reservations or directions, whatever I think their biggest action, whatever their biggest action is, I think should be highlighted, not hidden behind a hamburger. Um, and then
Good
also like
point.
the pattern of like the hidden navigation just to bring you down a page seems a little odd to me. It should take you, like, and I think the normal patterns that would take you to like a new page. Um, but aside from that, everything, especially how it like reflows responsively, works pretty well. Um, I really like the form at the bottom. That might get a little weird on a mobile phone, so you might consider a more condensed way to do that on a mobile device with a keyboard present.
Hmm.
Um, but generally, I think it's great. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Good job, Michael. And I think he has another one. But before we go to another one, we got a question from Anna. So she's saying, so I guess more high career level you get, The higher in your career you get, the more weight of responsibility. Yep.
Yeah, partially. I mean, I think it just becomes like your mistakes become a lot more visible. So like you can't your screw ups aren't just like to a couple people anymore. It's to a lot of people, and so there's responsibility with that. And there's just like there's a weight of like knowing that like you're the guy making the app for Netflix.
Yeah.
So that's it's equally empowering as it is scary as hell. But the responsibility is the same at a small company. Just impact is a lot different for sure.
Yeah, and much more for Google Auto. I mean, man, dude,
Yeah.
that's that's crazy. Bartosz, he's asking, have you ever hit the point where you said, "I need a break"?
Yeah, I
And
did in November. Yeah, yeah, no, I hit it every like it's usually in the fall I get burnt out, and it's usually if you actually follow my podcast, I post a lot in the like early spring and summer, and then I kind of drop out over fall, and then like burn out in like the holidays, and then start back up. And it's been kind of like my rhythm I've identified. I'm trying to like level that out and not be so inconsistent. But I'm always on the verge of like selling all my crap and moving to the country. Like I really struggle with having to make a lot of money to live in a nice place to work for a big company. Like I think I'd be equally happy living in the countryside, like roasting coffee and selling it on Etsy. Like I truly believe that. I just haven't convinced my wife that's a good idea yet. But I've just been like, lucky enough to be able to find a career that like allows me to do the things I'm doing.
uh,
Um, but yeah, I'm always on the verge of quitting for sure.
oh man, oh man, yep, yep. Again, it's that balance.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man. All right, here's another one by Michael that I'm looking at right now. Insider.webflow.io, and yeah, this one has a video background, and it's one of the features we just released on Webflow, so he's taking advantage of it.
Very
Oh,
cool.
nice. So I'm guessing, okay, this is a template. All right. So we have a bunch of template makers on in our
Oh, cool.
community.
That's rad. Yeah, I like the use of video. There's a weird gap here in the events area I'm not seeing.
Events area?
This is our events below the quotes.
Okay.
Seems empty.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
The bug there. No, I
Maybe,
think
yeah.
generally like this is definitely I mean it's following a lot of the patterns and things that exist today, like in a lot of popular like product one page sites. Um, I think they're super solid. Like as you can tell, like I'm very weird about like scroll jacky things and like
Yeah.
having auto scroll. Um, and I've always said this as like a disclaimer, like I'm a bad web designer. Like I put that out there because like my profession, I went from like print to actually mobile. So anytime there's more than one column, I like kind of lose my mind a little bit.
Oh,
Um,
that's interesting.
yeah, like and like overall UX, like I get layout and I do all those things, but I never had like a legitimate job laying out a ton of websites, and so I would still feel like a novice there sometimes. But
Huh.
in
And
general, this is really good.
on the flip side, I feel like the whole mobile design is because I've always been a web designer, and so mobile design, I feel like there's not enough space. There's never enough space, and
Yeah,
so I feel the opposite. I'm like, oh, when there's more space, that's awesome. But
yeah.
mobile, it's like, how do you squeeze? But I guess that's the awesome challenge, right? How do you squeeze so much information into such a small screen?
I think that's one of the hard parts. Like, and I've experienced this both at Netflix and Google. Like, it's really hard to get whether it's like project management or engineers that are building websites for so many years to think about product in a different environment. So like
Hmm.
the one feature per screen or like one idea per screen model of mobile is very foreign to a lot of people that have been building websites for so long. So it just seems so native to me. But I spent a lot of time trying to convince people to take stuff off of the screen. And I think it's just a different way to build product, and you have to because there's just less screen space.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I kind of lose my mind when I have three columns.
Yeah. All right. Um, And I think that's all the questions from the chat room. So yeah, thank you so much, Michael. I'd love to have you on the show again and talk even deeper things about career and whatnot. But
Yeah.
good luck on your Etsy store. Let me know when it opens.
I'll let you
I'd
know when the balanced coffee comes out.
There you go. I'll buy a bag or two. I'll taste it. Um, and wait, do we have another one? Love to get both your opinions on this site. Okay, one last. Well, it's not a. It has to be a Webflow URL, Jordan. So I'll take that one after I sign Joel off. But
Yeah. Hit me
Joel,
on Twitter. I'll give you my thoughts.
excuse me.
They said he can hit me on Twitter. I'll be glad to
Yeah,
share.
yeah. So speaking of which, yeah, his Twitter is underscore BKLMN, and again, his personal site is BKL.MN, and also check out his Balance podcast, your intro on the Balance podcast, thebalance.cc.
Yes.
Um, that is sick.
The actual audio, the music.
Yeah, the intro, I got the chills with that
Yeah.
quote and then the whole beat, and I was like, dude, this guy.
Yeah, that's a shout out to my homie Andrew who lives in Pittsburgh. I think he's the joshuabreed.com. I played in music and bands with him forever. And he was the one that edited the podcast and wrote some of the music. So yeah, Andrew Woolsey, he's a badass. Yeah, the
Dude.
joshuabreed.com.
Yeah, dude, he is sick. All right. So, good luck with everything. Let us
Yeah,
know what happens. I'll be following you on Twitter from now on because it seems like we're on the same wavelength here as
of course.
designers. Thank you so much for being on the not on the show.
Thank
And
you. Glad to be here.
yeah, thank you. See ya.
Awesome. We'll chat soon.
See ya. That was fun. Oh man. Yeah, dude. There's so much more to that, and I want to get into. I'm gonna start listening to his podcast. That's really good. Here, let me see if I can. Let me download his podcast real quick. See if I can play it for you guys. That intro, like I said, here. Let me see if I can play it. Let's see here. Okay. Alright, listen to this.
If you don't design your life, someone else will design it for
Alright,
you.
let me do it
And you
again.
may just
There we go.
if you don't design your life, someone else will design it for you. And you may just not like their idea of balance.
Trying to find balance. Trying to find balance. Trying to find balance.
And you may just not like their idea of balance.
Welcome again to the balance.
Yeah, yeah. That one gave me chills. Alright, here we go. We got other links. Here we go. Yes, you can do parallax scrolling now in Webflow. There's a trick. Go find it in the forums. Yes. Let's see here. Okay, Mark Wheel. Alright, let's see what you got. Oh, that's the wrong one. Alright, so this is part of the show when you guys just ask any questions about Webflow and I will answer it. Whoa. Nice slider. I like that. I was expecting a basic hamburger menu slide out, but no, you gave me something different. Great job. Who's this by? Who did this? Oh, Jordan. Good job, man. Yeah, send this over to Joel. This is really good. Okay, I can't I'm trying. Okay, I'm scrolling, and my scroll wheel is going up and down, but nothing's happening. Um, yeah, photography, imagery, that really pushes a website further. You know, um, and this is where graphic designers, I feel, tr- um, trump web designers who mainly focus on code and functionality. The the feel, the aesthetics of a website when using traditional graphic design principles like typography, imagery, layout, and whatnot could really make a website super unique. Like this, it's the images that are speaking for the website. It's less of the web designer doing the functionality. But so yeah, this is really great. Oh, I should go to slash home dash page. Okay. And oh, okay, here we go. Nice. Like the cards right here. Nice. Very good. I would do a thing. So what you did on this page, where the top bar is transparent, has a transparent background, I would do the same. Oh, wait, what just happened? Oh, okay. So you did do it, but I think there's something wrong with your interaction, scroll interaction. So that's correct. But when I go back up, this should go away. This top bar should go away to reveal the transparent background top bar. Yeah, this is really good. Let's go deeper. Nice. Nice hovers. Nice. Good job. Oh, I need to sneeze. I hate it when I have to sneeze and I don't know if it's gonna come or not. Yeah, anyways. Alright. Great job. Great job, Jordan. Wow. Oh, look at that. That's cool. Yeah, this one is really focusing on, of course, he's a photographer, so it makes sense to focus on the imagery. But yeah, the menu is really awesome. Great job. Great job. Okay, Bartosz is wanting me to show this. Actually, here, let me just copy it. And yes, if you have any questions about, Webflow, ask him now. Oh, this is your theater thing, Bartosz. Oh, yeah. So using the new 3D transforms, coupled with the interactions in Webflow, you can kind of virtually see what a movie theater would look like if you're in a certain seat. So like if I'm on row 1, seat 1, this is what the screen would look like. If I was like in row 2, seat 3, it would look like this. Like this is the perfect one right here. So this is the hot seat right here, row 3, seat 3. Like that. Pretty cool. Oh, and this plays. Yes. Don't mind if I watch it. Can't wait for this to come out. Row 3, seat 3. Oh, yeah. That's really cool. Great job, Bartosz. Jordan, cheers, guys. I'm at work, so I can't have audio on, but I'll listen to the feedback when I get home. I always miss out on these, so I've had to watch in secret. Oh, don't worry. We won't tell. Why am I whispering? I don't know. All right. Yeah. I'm glad you guys are all using the background videos. Yeah, they look really good and it's really easy to implement. I've started to use background videos now too. Using I'll just show off what I'm doing. Tesla Design Studio. So this is a little project I'm working on just for fun, and so I use background videos for this. So I've always wanted to make my own Tesla calculator thing, designer tool. But for the background videos, I have two background videos overlaying each other, and so that way, when I choose a different car, I can see a video for each one. There's no such thing as a Model 3 yet, or a Model Y, but, you know, we're waiting for Elon to unveil them. So this is how I'm using my background videos. And then soon... here we go. Got a question from Joss. Any updates coming out this next week? Can you reveal Pretty Silent with updates? Pretty Silent? We just had background videos. So we had background videos, and now you can also let's see here, forum.webflow.com. You can duplicate if you guys. It's a small update, but you know, pretty huge for the workflows. So let me go to the announcements. Where are you? Click. Where is it? Is it that one? Ah, yes. So yeah, you can now duplicate. You can now duplicate a collection item. So down here, where it says archive and delete, we added a third button so you can duplicate that collection item, which is really awesome because, you know, when you're making stuff and you just want to copy and paste everything, then you have to do it manually. Well, you don't have to do it anymore. And that goes as well for, that's the same thing for the CMS editor on the front end. You can also duplicate so your clients can do that as well. Nathan, our designer, yeah, is in the chat room. Pretty silent on the updates. No, we've been doing a lot of updates, guys. Don't worry. But yes, I can tell you the dynamic embeds that I showed you guys, so you can enable stuff like e-commerce and stuff. It's really soon. We're putting on the finishing touches. Look for that very soon. Let's see here. Hi guys, this was my first one with Webflow. Oh, Vil, I think that's how you say your name. Welcome to the stream, and thank you for being a part of our community. This is based on a 2013 layout, and it has a little bit of print look to it. Cool. Okay, auto slider. Oh, this box right here. I maybe make this box right here not a fixed width, so that way it's kind of more fluid. So text like this doesn't run outside. It's very nice. For your first one, great job. Nice. So yeah, dynamic embeds. That one's coming really soon. What else? Wait, where's my forum? There it goes. What else have we done? The right reply to for forums. That's new. If you haven't checked that out, go look at the forum post for more details. And yeah, going back to this site right here. Very clean. Okay, this one could use more. Oh, okay. Okay, I see you're loading two images on the hover. So one image on the off, and then when I hover over it, I have to load a new one. If you want a shortcut for going from black and white on an image to color, there's this thing, if you Google search CSS filters, and here we go, CSS tricks right here. The filter, you can actually do a grayscale. Okay, so it's like something like this. So you can put this in your custom code, where it's like you give a class name to an image, and then in your custom code you give that same class name, and then do a filter grayscale and whatever percent. I would say 100% at first, and then do a pseudo class of hover and set that grayscale to 0, and then you get that same effect, but you don't have to load 2 images. It would just be 1. Okay, great job, great job. And while I'm waiting for the last questions, you guys, thank you so much for joining me this week. Next week we'll go more into the workshop. Follow. Yeah, lots of optimizing missing on that. Oh, okay. So we're gonna go back to the other format next week, where I just go through how to build a website from scratch. And hopefully we have more features to show you by that time, and I can implement it into the workshop. So yeah, if you need any help with your account, you have any technical issues, there's a bug, there's a billing issue, whatnot, email me and the support team at support@webflow.com. We'll take care of it for you. If you want to converse with the community or ask some design questions or have a design issue, go to forum.webflow.com. We have a lot of people on there always helping out. And yeah, you can find your tips there. If you want to converse with me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is @thepixelgeek, or follow the official Webflow Twitter account at webflowapp, or follow us on Facebook or facebook.com/webflow. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you're notified when our live streams or whenever we post a new video goes live. I know a lot of people are from other parts of the world are like, wait, you're starting an hour earlier? Yeah. Daylight savings time for us. We just switched last Sunday. So yeah, you'll get a notification if you subscribe. So do that. We got a question from Wesley. When exporting HTML from Webflow, does all the functionality work except for collections and database interactions? That is correct. So when you export your code out of Webflow, you only get the static HTML, CSS, JS, and the images you've put on your designs. The dynamic collections and whatnot, they do not come in that same zip package. Okay? Because our CMS is very unique, if you're going to do CMS stuff, dynamic stuff, you need to host it on our servers. When are we going to get copy and paste? Can you be more specific with that question? Copy and paste? Because you can already copy and paste stuff on Webflow. You can also right-click. We have contextual menus now. You can right-click on an element and duplicate it or copy it. Try that out. That's really, really fun. Yeah. And anything else I missed? I think I got it all. Alright, so next week, 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. Every Tuesday I will be here. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you next week. I always forget how to... there it goes. Click.